If your small business received a COVID EIDL during the pandemic, then this video is definitely for you, because today I'm going to discuss the basic business operations that you undertake day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, year in to run your business, and how those basic business operations are impacted by the sometimes incredibly restrictive terms of the loan agreement you signed when you borrowed that money during the pandemic to save your business. I need your help. Buy some of our merch. 𝗑𝗜𝗑𝗟𝗜 basics. Today I want to discuss with you some important information about your COVID EIDL loan authorization agreement, the LAA. That's how I'm going to refer to it for the rest of the video. There are basic business operations where, as you undertake these operations, you need to notify the SBA or get their permission to perform those business operations. Let me read the list. Change of address, which means mailing address and physical address. These two are possibly separate activities. A mailing address is fairly simple to change with an email. A physical address, it's often the case that the SBA may have you fill out some forms to process a change of the physical address, especially because if you don't recall this, when you got the COVID loan originally, the SBA filed a lien against all of the business assets for your business if your loan was greater than $25,000. And those assets are the collateral for the loan. Assets meaning tangible and intangible assets as per the loan agreement. And that UCC, Uniform Commercial Code lien, is filed at your current physical address. So if you have changed your physical location or you are planning to change it, you need to notify the SBA and about the location, but also to ask them to move the UCC lien to that new location if possible. It's not going to apply in every case. I spoke with someone last week who's a sole proprietor. So they have the address for the current location and we're moving to a different location, so we're going to request that. You see that? I've only talked about just changing the address, and you see there's a whole level of nuance and subtlety and extra work that you have to perform so that you can remain in compliance with the SBA loan agreement. You may not be aware of this, but there is a paragraph in the loan agreement that you signed that says if you're out of compliance, you can be held in default. In other words, default can be non-compliance. It does not have to be for non-payment. Yeah, you might want to check that with your attorney because I'm not a lawyer and this is not legal advice. Next business operation where you need to interact with the SBA, and in fact you have to get their permission, is called change of ownership. And if, with a change of ownership transaction, if there's money on the table, the SBA is going to require you to pay that money back. That's called monetary consideration may be required to approve this transaction. Next is selling assets. We had a YouTube comment recently where somebody talked about selling a piece of factory equipment. You need SBA's permission to sell assets that you don't sell as a part of your normal course of business, right? If you are a book publisher and you publish books and you sell books every day, that's your inventory, that's your product, then that's normal course of business. On the other hand, if you want to sell the printer or the binding equipment that binds the book together, this is an old book. This is from like 1906. So I'm pretty sure that equipment was sold a long time ago. But if you want to sell that equipment, you need the SBA's permission to do that. And they have a process for it. They have forms and requirements, including monetary consideration may be required. If you want to sell the business, SBA needs to give you permission to do that. If you want to bring equity investors in to invest in your business, inject some cash flow into the business, you need SBA's permission. If you want to borrow money from a lender, that lender is going to require, but definitely the SBA requires that their loan, the COVID loan, remains in the primary position, the first position in the event of a default. They have first rights to all of the business assets. And once the COVID loan is paid off, then any secondary liens would be satisfied with anything that's remaining from the disposition of the business assets or cash. And a subordination agreement must be provided by the SBA, giving permission to you and the lender for that second loan to come into place. And it's complicated. Our friend Jen, you've heard me talk about her a few times on this channel. She is a vice president, and actually, I'm sorry, now she has been promoted. She is a director for a large regional banking firm here in New England. And she was over for dinner last week, and first thing she said, she goes, do you know that when people walk into our banks and they are applying for an SBA loan, that the SBA is requiring the proceeds of the loan to be used to pay off the entire COVID loan, if that's the case. And I said to her, I knew that already, and I've already beaten the SBA by getting them to waive that requirement in not one, but two different instances. Yeah, it is possible. If you want to know the nuance, the special recipe, the secret recipe on how to accomplish that, you can purchase our EIDL Resource Hub because it's a lengthy explanation, too much to go into here in these videos. Next, if you are closing the business, I spoke to someone this morning on one of our 1-hour paid consultation calls. It's a pharmacy, and he started out by saying, look, I'm in a negative equity position. I've been in business for 21 years. I'm done. It's time for me to move on with my life. I want to retire. I want to move to another state. I want to close the business. What are my options? And we ran through those different options. And in each one of them, whether he's selling the business, whether he closes it and sells the assets and pays some cash to pay off the loan, or whether he files bankruptcy, all of those have an interaction requirement with the SBA as per the loan agreement. And that leads me to bankruptcy. This is a topic that is coming up more and more often in comments to our videos, in people reaching out to me for our consulting advice. We hate to hear that a business is failing to the point where bankruptcy is something that's a real issue that they are considering. Unfortunately, with the current state of affairs at the SBA, they are not making it easy for you to manage repayment of the loan. Excuse me while I sip some tea from our lovely mug that we sell down below in the merch box. You know, I'm going to promote it. Boring business basics. Linda Ray says if it's boring, you're doing it right. Sadly, the SBA does not allow you to negotiate a short settlement for offer in compromise. The way if you owe taxes to the IRS, you can contact the IRS and negotiate a settlement for less than what you owe. The SBA doesn't allow that for the COVID EIDL program, and please do not listen to people out there on the internet who claim to be able to help you with that. Spectacularly scam-malicious, a particular law firm who I see as a sponsored result on Google. I'm not going to mention their name so I don't get in trouble, but we've spoken to a few people on our consulting calls who told me that they had contacted this law firm and they kind of had some outrageous experiences, which I won't mention, but this firm claims to be able to help you negotiate offer in compromise. It does not exist for the COVID loan program. Don't listen to people telling you it does. And if you contact the SBA and request the OIC, offer in compromise form, very likely a clerk will send it to you because they do allow it on other SBA loans. You get a loan from a bank that's a guaranteed SBA loan, meaning that the SBA is not lending the money, the bank is, but the SBA is guaranteeing the loan for risk, against default. If you can negotiate offer in compromise on those types of loans, 504-7A. You cannot negotiate offer in compromise on a COVID loan. And what's happening is people are getting these forms because they're requesting them from the SBA and they're filling them out and they're thinking, oh, hunky-dory. They're going on Reddit and sharing all kinds of bad advice, which is like the cesspool of bad advice. And they're like, yeah, offer in compromise. And then, months pass and nothing happens. If you watch Jason's video channel, you'll know that that's kind of his thing, offer in compromise. He recently did a video. He said, I will not take people's money. People who are begging him to take their money to process an offer in compromise on a COVID EIDL, Jason said, I'm not going to take their money because I don't feel that it's going to be successful, and I'm not going to take people's money for something I can't, get it done for them. A very honorable person, obviously. Last but not least is death of owner. We had somebody reach out to us just last night, and apparently her spouse, her husband, had a business. He obtained a COVID EIDL, and sadly he passed away, and she wants to know what to do. She claims the SBA is hounding her for payments. And so there is a process for notifying the SBA if an owner of the business has expired. Technically, under the terms of the loan agreement, and again, I'm not an attorney, so please check this with your lawyer because this is not legal advice. But if you read the loan agreement, in the section about, default, death of an owner of the business is considered default by the SBA. You may not be aware that defaulting on the SBA COVID EIDL is not just a matter of failing to make payments. No, you can default on an SBA COVID EIDL simply by failing to comply with the terms of the loan agreement. That's why today's video is so important, because I'm discussing business operations. We hear from folks all the time who say, oh, I moved. I say, did you notify the SBA? No, I didn't. I have to do that? I sold assets. Whoa, that's actually really, really bad if you sold assets, because that's the collateral on the loan. Imagine if you had a mortgage on your house and you sold the house and you didn't pay off the bank on the mortgage that you got when you bought the house in the first place. You sell it, but you don't pay off the bank. That's fraud. Yeah, so you cannot sell your business assets without SBA's permission. Here's another issue about compliance you may not be aware of. If you own multiple businesses and you have multiple COVID EIDLs, I just discussed this with 2 business owners in California just yesterday. They own 9 Subway shop restaurants. 2 of those, sadly, have failed, and they've closed the businesses. They've continued to make their payments, but they wanted to know bankruptcy, closing the business, selling assets, what strategic advice I could offer them. And I pointed out to them, I said, technically, under the terms of the loan agreement, I said, please confirm this with your attorney. If you default on other SBA loans, you are in default on your COVID EIDL. So in their case, 9 restaurants, 2 are closed, so they're in the process of, eventually, they're going to default through bankruptcy on those 2 loans. But that means, technically speaking, as per the SBA, they're going to be in default on the remaining 7 business entities. Yeah. This is what I did in the summer of 2020. I read the loan agreement. And so we did a video about it as part of our 𝗘𝗜𝗟𝗜𝗍 series. We would encourage you to read your EIDL, Loan Authorization Agreement, the LAA. Sit down with your attorney and review it. If you want to book time with me to discuss it, there's a link in the description. If you want our EIDL Resource Hub, where I go into massive detail about everything I can think of. I wrote a chapter this morning about once you've paid off a COVID EIDL and you want to get that lien released, there's a process for that, and I've already done that for someone, so I put that into that chapter. There's templates about how to submit an email to SBA to get the result you want and improve your experience. All of this is because in the summer of 2020, I read the loan agreement. All of this is because we are committed to helping you understand the COVID loan program. Since day one, we're financing professionals. We translate all that muckety-muck into plain language for you. And that's what our Resource Hub is. It's all about helping you avoid the learning curve. We have already taken that learning curve for you. We have already done the hard work of rolling up our sleeves and dealing with the SBA and other small business owners so that we can give you the information to improve your experience with the SBA. And by the way, if you're an accountant or an attorney, stop right now. Go to the link in the description. You need our COVID EIDL Resource Hub, because just this morning on a call, the business owner said to me, yeah, my CPA didn't know about this program. And then he said, I called an attorney about filing a bankruptcy and closing the business. I didn't know which one I wanted to do, which is why I booked a call with you, Trevor. And my attorney didn't know what to do. He didn't even know what the program was. So if you are an accountant or an attorney, please do your clients the favor of learning the expertise that I share with you in the COVID EIDL Resource Hub. And if you're a small business owner, please share this video with your accountant and your attorney, or someone in your family who's an accountant and attorney, or somebody in your business networking group who's an attorney or an accountant. Share this video with them. Tell them they need this Resource Hub, because we're already seeing between the SBA slashing staff, between the SBA's already difficult operational dysfunction, the challenges, the difficulties, the anxieties that you small business owners are facing. And just as in today's video, all of these basic business operations that you need to interact with the SBA. If your professionals, your accountant and your attorney can't support you, where are you going to turn? Because we won't be offering consulting forever. I mean, I'm old. Look at me. Secondly, we want these attorneys and accountants to understand there's a wave of difficulty coming their way from their clients. 4 million COVID EIDLs, okay? And we are already seeing in early 2025, the questions that we're getting from folks here on YouTube through 1-hour consulting calls are mostly circling around this idea of, I can't afford to make payments anymore. My business has failed. My business is failing. A business owner died. What do I do? Because business is a living, breathing, organic thing, and the Small Business Administration doesn't seem to understand that with the rigid requirements of this COVID loan program. Your attorneys and accountants need the expertise that I provide to them in the EIDL Resource Hub. I say I mean we, Linda Ray, because you see, look at this image of some of the things in the guide. This is her work. She does, I write the stuff down and then I give it to her and she makes it look into this sparkly, shiny, glittery, wonderful, easy to use product. Attorneys and accountants, you need the EIDL Resource Hub. Back to basic business operations. If you're a small business owner, you need to read your loan agreement because all of these items that I'm discussing today, you need to interact with the SBA. We created something just for you business owners called the Business Organization Beacon Guide. Yeah, we have all kinds of guidebooks, not just the EIDL Resource Hub. If you go to our website through the link in the description, you can see the menu of products that we offer because I speak to small business owners all the time and we see people having challenges knowing where their IRS SS4 is. Business owners who are unaware there's a UCC lien on their business. Do you know how to search for a UCC lien in your state? Business owners who are unaware of what their gross revenue was last year. Business owners who don't know what the term cost of goods sold means and if it even applies to their business. Business owners who don't have AR ledgers, accounts receivable ledgers. Business owners who don't have their documents for their COVID loan or their business organized in a secure place, easy access. Because if you're dealing with the SBA, listen, if you don't buy our resource hub, if you don't buy our guidebooks, if you don't book a 1-hour call with me, I'm telling you right now, the secret, fundamental issue to success with the SBA is you have to be better than the SBA. You have to be prepared. That's why our resource hub, we've taken the learning curve out of your hands and put it into the guide. But if you don't buy any of that, you need to be prepared. Once you read your loan agreement, you will probably have a few more gray hairs and a little more anxiety and a little more concern because you will see the restrictions and requirements on your business based upon the loan agreement that you signed when you took this loan. If you found this video helpful, please click the like button, thumbs up. Tell YouTube this video has value. YouTube will share this video with other business owners with COVID loans. If your accountant or your attorney cannot answer this question, do you know what a COVID EIDL is? Don't call it a COVID loan. Don't call it an SBA loan. Don't call it an SBA COVID pandemic loan. Call it an EIDL. Don't call it an economic injury disaster loan. Call it an EIDL. You'd be surprised how many of your professionals who help you with advice do not know what EIDL means. Those folks need our resource hub. They need our expert guidance because the learning curve is removed. The value is in it. They will help you to win it. I'd love it if you went into the comments and told us what your business is and what other questions you have, comments, because as part of our COVID-Anniversary series, I'm answering comments on our YouTube videos. So jump down there into the comments section and tell us what your business is and what you need to know about the program, what experiences you've had, and we'll see if we can include that in a video in the future. If you found today's video helpful, you might be interested in this video right here. I'll see you the next time around.